Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a real look at how I actually get things done with little kids. I'm going to share some daily homemaking habits that I've implemented that really help with keeping a tidy home, even with lots of kids running around. Some of my daily rhythms that really help me create systems around homemaking to get more done on autopilot, tips on how to get more done in less time, and some practical little things I do that help me to accomplish things throughout the day, even when my kids are awake. If you're new around here, hi, I'm KyAnn. I'm a wife and mom of 3 kids, currently 3 and under, and I share lots of content here on YouTube around homemaking, intentional daily rhythms, faith, and motherhood. If you like that kind of thing, I'd love for you to subscribe and join my little YouTube family. I'm so grateful you're here. As a mom, we all know that everything changes in our lifestyle and habits and daily schedule when we become parents. Suddenly, everything revolves around this tiny little person that needs us constantly, but yet we also have to somehow manage to keep our household running smoothly, make all the food for all the people, and keep our homes at least livable and somewhat clean at the same time. It's a lot. And whether you have 1 kid or 6, I think we would all agree that it just genuinely takes some leveling up in our lives and home management systems in order to keep up with our household while also raising kids and all that comes with. It just takes some shifting and changing our mindset and doing things a little bit differently than we did before. You guys know that I'm big on habits and rhythms for daily life, and I've become kind of a nerd, honestly, about researching absolutely anything I can get my hands on in this area of productivity, intentional living, systemizing your life, etc. It's so fascinating to me, and I've spent a ton of time and energy and resources trying to learn everything that I can in this area in the last few years, hence why I'm now creating a course specifically on implementing and prioritizing intentional daily rhythms as a stay-at-home mom to save you the many hours I spent learning how to do all of this. I wanted to start with talking through a few of the daily habits as far as homemaking that really help me to prioritize keeping a tidy home like throughout the day, because I feel like the small habits really do add up to a lot more, and especially with little kids, the small habits can really make the difference. Like, you think they're so tiny and inconsequential, but really they can make the difference between a tidy, manageable home. I'm not saying it has to be perfect or, like a museum. It's a lived-in home, but it's tidy. You know where things go. You can put them up quickly, and you kind of have just like a baseline level of clean that even if someone pops over, like, it's not completely embarrassing. Obviously, you're gonna have days where things pile up more and you have more things that you need to catch up on. That's going to happen in life, but for the most part, your home is well managed and tidy, and just you can enjoy living in it. It's not a space that you feel guilt or shame when you're in it. You can just relax, you can fully be yourself, and you can enjoy the home that you've been blessed with. So I wanted to talk through a few of those daily habits for me that I feel like make a really big difference, especially when little kids are involved. So one of the things that I feel like has become even more important as I've become a mom is tidying as I go throughout the day. So like during meals, as I'm making a meal, as I get ingredients out, I'm putting those ingredients back into the pantry as I finish using them. As I use dishes, I'm rinsing them off in the sink and putting them in the sink to be washed later. We don't have a dishwasher, so our sink holds our dishes until I come and like do all the dishes at once later in the day. But throughout the mealtime, I'm rinsing the dishes off so that they don't get, baked stuff on them or get hard over time, all of that. Put them in the sink so that I can tackle them later, but then they're at least clean. Even like if you're baking or doing things like that, making sure to rinse those dishes off and put them in the sink. Put the baking ingredients away. Put everything that you used for that away as you go so that it's not piling up, because I feel like, especially as a parent, when we have such little pockets of time to focus on like big projects, at least that's how I feel in my life, is I don't have a ton of extra time like I used to, where I could just sit down and spend all the time that I wanted cleaning. I mean, who wants to spend all day cleaning anyways, let's be honest. But as a parent, our time is limited, and so if we can tidy as we go, I feel like it really helps that overwhelm. Because if I just let the dishes go all day, if I leave everything out from all the meals, and then I come back at the end of the day after the kids are in bed, I have a huge mess, and my kitchen is like covered in dishes, it's covered in ingredients that are out, and it takes a long time to tackle going through that. And I feel like sometimes that mental overwhelm of like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me so long, this is just really overwhelming, and I don't even know where to start, that keeps me from even cleaning it up, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to just leave this, it's already set out all day, what does it matter if I leave it another night? And then it just piles up, and it can start to pile up over time very quickly if you're not tackling it like that. So the more that I can do throughout the day, I will. So just tidying as you go. After you finish playing with a bunch of toys, cleaning those up, having your kids help you clean those up, or if you do a craft, going ahead and cleaning up all the craft supplies, putting your dishes up throughout the day as you use them, both your kids and you. Like, just little habits habits like that. Even if I take something into my room that doesn't belong in my room, making sure to take it and clean it up afterwards. I may not do it that exact moment, like I'm not perfect, but as you go throughout the day, if you see something sitting there, just go put it away, so that you can avoid things just piling up and just becoming so overwhelming when it's not being managed regularly. So tidying as you go has been a big one. Another one for us is setting specific times to clean up as a family. So we have daily rhythms of times that we clean up the whole house, and we do a whole quick tidy before certain events. The first one that we do with the kids is tidying up before lunch. And so every day before lunch, we try to set aside some time. It honestly takes like 10 minutes, I would say. I think it would probably take me 5 minutes or less if it was just me by myself, but things take a little bit longer when you have little kids involved. But setting aside 10 minutes so that you can clean up all the toys that you played with that morning. If you left anything out in the kitchen from making something, or you know, if you did a craft or whatever and there are still things out, go through the kitchen, clean those things up quickly. Just go through all the rooms that you've been in your house and just briefly clean things up. If you're doing this regularly multiple times a day, this should take literally a few minutes max. It is not a huge thing. So the first time we do that is before lunch, and then the second time is before bedtime. So we also do the same thing before we go to bed to reset the house. And if it doesn't happen with the kids, because there are definitely days where we have evening plans or things are running a little bit later than normal, and sometimes I will sacrifice that before bedtime cleanup with the kids, and I will just put them to bed myself. We will put them to bed, and then afterwards I will spend that time cleaning up toys, going through the house, and doing a general like pickup and cleanup. So it's kind of a balance. I like to implement having the kids help me as much as possible, because I want them to know what is involved with maintaining a household. I want them to know some of these skills. I want them to have these habits and rhythms just in their own daily life of taking charge of their belongings and making sure to clean up as they go and just different things like that. But I also think sometimes life happens, and sometimes it's easier to clean it up as a mom too. So I do both regularly, if I'm being honest. Like, we do both. We prioritize having the kids help, and we also have times where I take it on myself and I just do it quickly after bedtime and get it done. But prioritizing those times multiple times throughout the day, where you're just going through the whole house and picking up things that are out and just managing it, makes it so that it's not getting to like an crazy level where you are so overwhelmed and you just don't even know where to start. The next thing that I would say that I do daily, and these are kind of like mindsets to live by, honestly, is the idea that if it takes a minute or less, just do it right then. If you have a minute and you're looking around and you see something sitting out, like you see a dish that you used earlier and you didn't put it away, maybe you made something on the stove and it still had food in it, then you put the food away and you hadn't cleaned the pot yet. If it's gonna take you a minute or less to wash it, just do it right then. Just go get it accomplished, get it done. You're already thinking about it. It's gonna take like no time to do it. Or if you see the trash is getting close to being full, go ahead, take that minute, take the trash out so that you don't have to worry about it later. I mean, there are so many things like that. If you see some clothes that the kids outgrew that are sitting out that you need to go put in a box, if it's going to take a minute or less, go do it then while you're thinking about it. I feel like we put so much pressure on our minds to move all of these tasks to later, and some things do need to be moved to later because you don't have the time to address them then. But if it's going to take a minute and it's already in your brain, you're already using that brain power to think about it, and you know it needs to be done. So go ahead and just accomplish it and have that success of getting that quick win of getting it done with, and also you can check it off in your brain and you don't have to like come back through and try and remember everything later. I think it helps alleviate a lot of that brain overwhelm and brain fog when you can just accomplish things as you go. And then the other mindset that has really made a big difference for me is the 1% rule. And this came from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. You've probably heard of it. I can link it below. It's an amazing book. I loved reading it. It's very interesting. But specifically, he talks about the 1% rule in the book. And it's the idea that we really underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. So improving by 1% isn't particularly like grand or noteworthy. Like when you're thinking about improving by 1%, it probably seems like it's not that big of a deal. But the difference in a tiny improvement, the difference that can make over time is crazy. Here is how like the math works out, because I looked it up. I wanted to remember the exact stats so that I could share them with you. But if you get 1% better each day for one whole year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time that you're done. And on the flip side, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly down to 0. So something that starts out as like a small win, or on the flip side, a minor setback, that accumulates into something that is so much more. It's just the snowball effect, right? And so we think this is just a tiny thing, but if you can focus in your life every single day on getting 1% better instead of getting 1% worse, if you can look at these tiny decisions like this thing of like, okay, if it takes a minute or less, I'm going to do it now. That's kind of an example of that. But if you can keep that mindset in your life, whether you're looking at something that you're doing for your side hustle, whether you're looking at your home, whether you're looking on even like investing into your relationships with your kids, this isn't just home management stuff. This can apply to literally anything. But if you can keep that mindset of I'm just going to be 1% better and push yourself to just be 1% better, this is not something that you can't accomplish. You're not being unrealistic and trying to be 100 times better all at once. You're just doing 1% better each day. That adds up to so much more. And so that mindset has helped me a lot in my daily life as well. Okay, I'm interrupting this video really quickly to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite brands, Wildbird. I actually have a few clips that I was already using this in the video, and then I found out that they're having an incredible sale right now. So they are having up to 60% off on their site. They have incredible like ring slings like this that you can wear your babies in, or they also have more structured carrier options, so you can go look on their website. But their fabric is so comfortable. I've had this specific ring sling for almost 4 years now, just about 4 years, since my oldest daughter was born. Payson's talking in the background. Especially once the babies are around 6 months or can fit on your hip comfortably, I love to wear them in the sling and just put them on my hip and get things done at the same time. Obviously, if you have multiple kids, it feels like you have less and less hands, even though obviously you have the same number of hands, but more people that need them, and you just need to be hands-free as far as like holding your baby as much as possible. So I love to baby wear as much as I can so I can get things done throughout the day, and this is one of my favorite brands to do that. So they're having up to 60% off. They're also having their holiday jammy line launched with this sale as well, brand new holiday jammies, and they are 10% off even though they just launched. They're 10% off, and then if you get 2 items or more, you get free shipping, and they also have bundle savings if you get multiple items as well that stack on top of that. Plus, I have an affiliate code for an extra 10% off that stacks on top of all the other discounts. So this is the time to go if you need to get any Christmas gifts for any friends or family that have little babies and would enjoy baby wearing or would enjoy trying it out, or if you have any baby showers coming up, anything like that. Head over to Wildbird, stock up on your baby wearing essentials, and let me know if you grab some, because I would love to know. This truly is one of my favorite brands. I recommended them and sent people their way far before I ever had an affiliate link for them, and I love being able to shout out some of my favorite brands that I already use and love in my home. And since I found out they were having a sale, I was like, this is a perfect time to shout them out, because you guys have seen I wear this in my videos. You've seen these before, I've talked about them before, but now you can get some awesome savings as well. So let's get back to the video. The next thing that I'll mention that really helps me to get more done with little kids is letting kids help. And this sounds honestly counterintuitive, and it is a little counterintuitive if I'm being honest, because obviously the reality is that especially with little kids, when we're talking about like, you know, preschoolers, toddlers, when you're thinking about that age of kids, if you ask them to help with something, it's going to take longer than it would take you to do by yourself. That's just the reality of it. You have to slow down. You have to teach them how to do these things. They don't know how to do them. They've never done them before, or they're still learning in this skill. They're brand new to it. So it takes longer to do that. And so it feels counterintuitive in the moment when you're trying to get more done. You have a ton of things on your to-do list. It feels like that's the last thing you want to do, right? Is to let them help. But the thing that has helped me with that is keeping in mind the long-term gain of having them help now. So we are raising tiny adults. We are not raising kids, we are raising tiny adults, and they are one day going to be adults, and they need to know how to function as adults, how to maintain different responsibilities, how to grow in these skills. And they learn all of that by watching you model it and by practicing. And so if we can start when they're really young, implementing, letting them help, inviting them into things. First of all, this creates so much time that you can intentionally invest in your kids. This creates so many special moments and core memories for both of you to remember these moments of them helping you bake in the kitchen, helping you cook dinner, helping you fold laundry. Like, there are so many sweet conversations and moments that happen during those times that would not happen otherwise. And we have to be willing to slow down enough to let those moments happen, even if it feels frustrating to slow down and have to teach them these things. I have to remind myself of this all the time because I am very productivity, efficiency minded. If that's not clear yet in this video or other videos on my channel, I function very much on how, I want to do things as quickly as I can and get the most accomplished in the least amount of time. That's how I function day to day, just
that's just my natural like base level. And so having kids help does not really fall super naturally into that. Like, it's not a natural inclination for me, but I have to force myself to, because I've heard so many people of older kids talk about how, one, their relationships with their kids were formed in these moments of slowing down, because they talk during this. I have heard multiple people that are parents of teenagers or older especially talk about how when you're doing like mundane tasks with your kids, especially when they're older, they will open up so much more if they have something to do with their hands and they're busy. And I know that's true because I can see that in my own life with my parents or my siblings or even my friends. Like, I tend to just talk more and open up and be more vulnerable when I'm doing something else to distract me. I don't know. There's something to that. And so if we can start when they're kids of just making this a priority in our life where we do things together. We do things together as a family. We are working together to manage our household. We are helping and inviting them into this and teaching them skills, but we're also creating moments of connection within that. And that kind of becomes like a baseline for your family, and it just becomes very natural. So as they get older, and they may not naturally want to talk to you about everything all the time like they do when they're toddlers, if you already have these habits and rhythms in place to like build those moments of connection into working together as a family, not only is it strengthening their actual skills and developing their skills of learning to manage a household and other things outside of this. I'm just specifically talking about managing a household, cooking, cleaning, all of those kind of things right now. But so it does that, but it also opens up opportunities for you to have conversations when it really matters. When your teenagers are really, really struggling with hard, heavy issues that they want to talk to you about, but they don't necessarily just come up and tell you they want to talk to you about it. If you already have these activities built in where you do the dishes together, or you cook together, or you do these things with your hands together, it opens up more opportunities for them to naturally be more vulnerable and have these moments of connection with you as they get older. And that really, really matters. And then also on the practical side of it, if you're implementing this from a young age, your kids are used to helping. And when they get to an older age where it's not so much that it's taking so much more time, because they do reach a point where they learn these skills and they genuinely become helpful. I mean, even my oldest, who will be 4 soon, she is so helpful with a lot of things. There's some things that I still have to slow down and teach her. Obviously, she doesn't know everything, but she can vacuum completely on her own. She can sweep the kitchen almost entirely on her own at this point, and she's 3 years old. Like, she can help me put laundry away so well. Like, there are so many things. She knows how to fold her own clothes and put them away in her drawers. There are so many things that she genuinely is very capable in, and as she gets older, she's going to continue to grow in that. And you're really going to need their help when they're older. Like, you need their help. You want them to help in these skills, and if you don't take the time to slow down and teach them when they're young, it's a lot harder to do that when they're older, when it really counts, when they genuinely can be so much more helpful. Another thing that I want to mention is when I'm trying to accomplish a specific task, like I'm trying to put the laundry away or I'm trying to make dinner, whatever it may be, when I'm trying to accomplish something like that, I have to really think through whether I want to entertain my kids or whether I want to educate them. And I don't think that this is something that you need to feel like guilt or shame about, that you have to do all or nothing. I think this is a balance just like anything else in life. And so if I want to entertain them and I want to have a few minutes where I want to cook dinner by myself, maybe I want to put a podcast on, put worship music on, but just really like enjoy whatever I'm doing, or even honestly like tune out and have a little bit of a mental break for a little bit and listen to music or listen to a podcast, whatever. I kind of feel that out. And so if I want to entertain them during that time, what I will do during that specific time is a lot of times I will put music videos on my TV and listen to worship music for the kids. Sometimes I'll put like dance, like kids worship songs on that they can dance to. Sometimes I put just full on like worship music videos, because it's getting Jesus into their mind more throughout the day. It's getting the Bible into their mind more through these songs. I especially love different people that sing specifically songs that are straight from the Bible, that are Bible verses, and they can memorize those on association. So I'll do that, or I'll set up a game or activity for them. I've talked about this in my toy rotation videos before, but I'll set out specific like I'll set out specific plastic boxes and I'll put games or activities in that. So my kids aren't really old enough to do board games yet on their own, plus I have a baby that's crawling around everywhere, so even if they could do some of them, I probably wouldn't have them do them on their own right now just because there's so many little pieces. But I will set out things like a cash register and then a pizza kit so that they can set up a store. And then I'll set out some wooden food with that and some aprons, and they can set up their own pizza shop and they can go ahead and put their aprons on and make the pizza and have the cash register to check people out and kind of set up an activity like that. Or I'll set up like a sensory activity that they could do with dinosaurs and rice, and they can scoop things, and I'll have that already set up and put together. Or I'll set up like, I'm trying to think of a few other options. I just rotate through. I just grab random toys that we have, honestly, and kind of create like a scene, essentially. So we have some dress up options that are like safari themed. So I might set those out and then set some dinosaurs out and then set like a little card that they could put the dinosaurs in and tell them that they could play Jurassic Park, or they could play, you know, Dinosaur Hunter, something like that. And I feel like creating a scene like that really helps them to just be a little bit more invested in it and ignite their creativity and imagination, and just helps them to spend more time doing that. So I'll do that sometimes, or I'll set up like a craft at the table, different things like that. And then on the flip side, if I want to educate them, then this is where I let them help. And I don't think it's bad to do both. You know, they can learn so much through cooking and baking. Like, they can learn math, they can learn so many practical things. Obviously, they're learning how to actually cook so that they can feed themselves when they're older. Like, there's so many practical applications of so many skills in the household, and they can learn so much through just watching that and you modeling that and teaching them a little bit here, a little bit there. But I also don't want to say that you have to let them help all the time. I think it is a balance, and I think you can pick and choose when you want to do that. And I don't think it's bad to need breaks throughout the day. As a mom, we are so overstimulated, honestly, and people need us constantly. I don't think it's bad if you need a minute to cook something by yourself. I absolutely do not think it's bad to go into the kitchen, to put your headphones in, to listen to some worship music or listen to a podcast, and just take a few minutes for yourself to just relax, decompress, get your mind right again, and let the kids do something else in the other room. We do screen time as well, so we will occasionally put shows on for them also. I'm personally just trying to limit that a little bit more. We've always been low on, you know, the screen time usage. Like, we've always preferred to not use a ton of it, but I think especially lately I'm just wanting to use less and less. I'm reading some books about it, and it's just kind of interesting seeing behavioral stuff that's linked to screen time, different things in their brain, the science side of it, just all of that, you know. And so personally, I'm trying to decrease that a little bit, and so that's why I'm not mentioning it on here. It's not to say that I never put a show on to get something accomplished, but it's not something that I'm trying to prioritize, and I'm actually trying to decrease that. So these are some options other than that. A really big thing for me has been setting up daily rhythms to have an overall structure to our day and to help our life flow on autopilot. So there's still so much room for us to have freedom and to be spontaneous as we want to, but our daily rhythms are like the framework to help our life regularly flow smoothly, so that when we have really busy seasons, or when we have seasons of things that are unexpected, of sickness, or just hard seasons like that that come in, our life can still maintain very smoothly. Obviously, there's the outside stressors still coming in, but we have the systems already in place to manage our household well without having to put a lot of thought into it. And so I feel like that's when the rhythms really, really shine. In seasons of like having a newborn, or like this summer we had to move out of our house unexpectedly for over a month. And in both of those seasons in the past year, I've noticed how much of a difference that me implementing all of these daily rhythms and systems that I have really prioritized over the last few years, how much of a difference that actually makes. Because when there are outside stress or outside circumstances or just a lot of change happening, that automatically takes a lot of your mental energy. And so if you don't have systems set up in your life to maintain just your regular systems of like getting groceries, making meals, you know, washing your laundry and keeping up on cleaning your house, all of that, if you are having to put a lot of mental energy just to maintain that regularly, then adding the mental energy of changes or stress or outside circumstances on top of that, it just gets to where you're feeling like you're drowning very, very quickly. It just adds up so quickly. And so putting in the time to make these systems and habits really, really makes a big difference.
I will also briefly mention that I have been pouring tons of time into finalizing my course that will be launching very, very soon. Details to come, but if you are not on the wait list yet for that, you can go grab my free morning routine guide down below. I'll leave that down below so you can get the free guide that teaches you all about how to structure your morning routine so that you're starting your morning with peace and not chaos and overwhelm, and you can get some rest time and quiet time to start out the day. I know that's really hard to do with little kids, but it is really doable, and I lay it all out in a practical step-by-step guide on how I've made this possible, even with 3 kids, 3 and under, and just a lot of chaos in our days. It still has been something that I've managed to make a priority, and I want the same for you. So I have that guide down below, and if you go grab that free guide, it will also add you to the wait list for my rhythms course that will be coming so soon. So thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait.
The last big game changer on how to get more done in less time is batching tasks. So regularly throughout the day, I will batch tasks together. So kind of what I mean by that, like an example is like the dishes. So I will clean off the dishes as I go throughout the day, but I will group them all together in the sink. I group them, actually, I'm kind of OCD about it, to be honest. I group like all the plates together, all the bowls together, all the silverware, like I have it organized so that when I come throughout the day, whatever time that I have time to do dishes, I can go through and very efficiently and quickly get the dishes done. I'll do all the silverware, then I'll do all the plates, all the bowls. I can have them all together so that I can put them in my drying rack very quickly. I can fit the most amount in the drying rack at a time, but I batch it so that I'm not just doing 3 dishes here and 3 dishes there and never really accomplishing much. I set aside things so that I can accomplish a bunch at once, because it can be so much quicker to just batch things together and get them done all at once. So I will do various things like that throughout the day. If I have several items that need to be put up in an inconvenient place, like if I find toys under the couch that got lost under there and I need to go put them in our toy storage, I will group those together until I have like 4 or 5 of them, and then I will put them all away the next time I do our toy rotation all at once, so that I'm just kind of like batching that together, so I'm not doing more work than needs to get done. And then another thing that also helps me to be really productive is making to-do lists regularly. So I always have a to-do list running on my phone that helps me to get it out of my brain, out on paper. Well, not on paper, it's on my phone, but if you're a paper person, you could totally do a to-do list on paper as well. But just having it out of your brain and written down somewhere so that you're not constantly having to think about what you need to do, you just have it written down. And then planning ahead, like the evening before, if there are major like homemaking tasks, like I'm not talking necessarily just dishes and laundry, although honestly I put those on my to-do list because I can't hold everything in my brain. I have too much to think about. So even things that I do every single day, like dishes and laundry, I still put those on my to-do list. I feel successful when I can cross them off, and I always can look at it and see, like if I have 30 minutes to get something done, I can look at it and see, okay, what can I fit in that time, and just go through and check it off. But then if you have other things, like you need to bake bread that day, or you need to prep a meal ahead of time, or you need to make a meal for a friend or whatever, you can put that on there so that when you do have time throughout the day where the kids are playing well or whatever, you just look at your list and you can find what you need to do really quickly so that you're not wasting time sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, what do I need to get done? I don't even know where to start.
Thank you so much for watching my video today, friends. I hope that it was encouraging in some way. I am so thankful for the time that you spend with me, for every video you watch and you come back to our channel. Payson's just talking in the background. Sorry if that's distracting, but seriously, I appreciate it more than you know. If you are new around here, I share lots of content around intentional daily rhythms, homemaking, motherhood, faith, all of those kind of things. And if you like that kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe and join our YouTube family. And if you're not new around here, thank you so much for joining me for another video, and I'm so grateful to have you here. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye, friends.